And then we get to the fourth seal in Revelation 6, 7 through 8. And it says, "And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, 'Come and see.' And I looked, and behold, a pale horse. And his name that sat on him was Death. And hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth." And so by the time we get to the fourth seal, after all of the wars and famine and chaos and all the hunger and everything, all hell breaks loose on earth, and we are now full-fledged in the midst of the great tribulation. 4 seals have already been opened by this time. And after the fourth seal is opened, it says that a fourth of all mankind is killed. A fourth of the entire global population. This is, population control, come to fruition. And so a fourth of all mankind is killed as a result of the wars, the famine, the Antichrist persecuting the church and the world by consequence. And so, we see death and hell will follow these wars, these global wars under the fourth seal. Just a lot of people will be dead by this point. Now, I want you to understand something about the tribulation that will help you to understand the judgment to come when God's wrath is poured out. The seals of Revelation 6, before we get to the next seal, the seals of Revelation 6 are characterized by natural, man-made events caused by men. That's what we're seeing so far through these seals. We're seeing wars, famine, politics, deception, worldwide global systems of control, the hunger, famine, all these things that we're seeing. It's not, what we don't see, it's not comets hitting the earth and locusts coming up out of the earth. Those are the supernatural events that we'll see during the period known as God's wrath. But the tribulation, which the church will endure, is events, or all events, that are propagated by the Antichrist on the world. They're natural events like war, famine, political power, etc. But when we get to Revelation 8 and the trumpet judgments begin, that begins in end times history, the period known as God's wrath. Okay, and so we'll get to that in chapter 8. But this is important because the pre-trib rapture teachers and churches and pastors, they point to 1 Thessalonians 5:9 and say that the church is not appointed unto wrath. We're not going to go through the tribulation, they say, because the church is not appointed unto God's wrath. 1 Thessalonians 5:9, "For God hath not appointed us to wrath, but to obtain salvation by our Lord Jesus Christ." But, the tribulation is not God's wrath. We just got through, showing you that it's the wrath of the Antichrist who comes with that first seal. So it's the wrath of Satan and the Antichrist upon the church. The wrath of God begins after the tribulation. Once the church is taken away in chapter 7, as we'll see, that's where the rapture occurs. We'll go all through this in detail and show you exactly where that is. But it's after the tribulation that God's wrath is poured out. But the tribulation, we are here. So we need to separate the tribulation from God's wrath. Once you understand that, a lot of Revelation becomes a lot more clear, because you're not thinking about it as, we're not going to be here, this is God's. No, it's not God's wrath. This is the wrath of Satan and the Antichrist. And so the first 6 seals of the book of Revelation, which are covered in chapter 6, reveal the events to unfold during the tribulation. We see that it's a revealing, the scrolls are being opened, and the trumpet and vial judgments encompass the wrath of God, which comes after the tribulation. This is why we call this position the post-trib, pre-wrath rapture, or the post-trib, pre-wrath position.